order allows d5, yeah.
Yes, and actually Anand does.
Anand goes for it, takes, knight takes.
There are several moves for white.
Basically, what they do? Rookie
A4?
Rookie 1, A4.
Rookie 1 and A4 and knight...
Knight d2. I mean, it's like always, yeah, if you can play knight d2, it's a move.
The pawn on e5 is not hanging yet.
Because knight takes bishop f2.
Yes, bishop f2 and then queen f6. So that's why bishop e6 is possible.
But then, what do we do? Knight d2, right? Knight d2, trying to win a tempo with knight e4. Yeah, a4, it's like practically forces black to go a6 or a5, right? I mean, forces reaction on the queen side. Yeah, so if a4, yeah, we are threatening before a5.
I mean, basically, if white does not manage to create any direct threat to this e5 pawn and gives black time to consolidate, black will be doing fine. So it's just a very concrete position. So whether white will be able to create some counter chances or not.
So knight goes to d2. Then it looks like it makes sense to, you know, well, now e5 pawn is hanging, yeah?
So...
Yeah, f6 is definitely d4. No, I thought maybe like to play a move like bishop b6, you know, just to... So that knight e4 comes without a tempo. Bishop b6, and then if you play knight e4, I might consider f6. But what worries me a bit that you might take on e5, actually. Bishop b6,
well, actually,
knight
I
e5.
thought that after rook e1, bishop g4 is one of the main
move,
lines.
yeah? With some idea to sacrifice the pawn as well. So after h3, I mean, if black would play bishop g4, then after h3, bishop goes to h5, and g4,
maybe
bishop
with the bishop and stuff.
g6.
I mean, there are so many move orders in this variation.
Yeah, it's quite confusing. Let's agree. And those two, look, I mean, they're playing like it's a serious game, like it's not a blitz.
Yeah, because
right?
I mean, these moves are like extremely important, and you can just end being a pawn down. And
bishop d6 doesn't feel to be the right move, to be honest.
No.
Knight e4,
probably,
knight g5 is in the
probably he
air.
didn't find any other moves.
Knight g5 is in the air.
Yeah.
What they do? I mean, it
didn't go well for...
Can he play... No, h6. h6.
Well, b4 is an idea. Well, at least at some point, I'm not sure here. This is 3 pawn is still hanging, right? After f5.
I mean, one thing to do is just to go knight g3. That's also possible. Because when black has played h6, you want to apply as much pressure as possible on e5 to provoke f6 as well, after which you have access, you know, to those juicy light squares black makes weaknesses on.
Yes, because actually after f5 I can retreat my knight and the pawn on c3 is not hanging because of the bishop on e6.
You can pass, I mean, after f5 you can, I don't know, like...
But now...
b5 is possible as well, because when they take, you take with the pawn attack both
so
knights.
Probably a4, probably we should continue.
b4, a6, well, there is there queen b3 here?
Queen b3, I was worried about b5, but not here, of course, not immediately, but probably playing bishop e7 first.
Bishop e7.
With the idea to play... Well, but then you will need to play a4 anyway. But then b5.
Then
I mean,
still some b5s, yeah.
Too many jumps after that.
Well, maybe just to make some quiet move. Oh, well, a4. Okay.
Well,
no,
I mean,
no
quiet moves.
I mean,
you want to make a move.
Semi-developing, like bishop d2.
Well, that's following White's plan, right? They want to somehow attack on the queen side.
Now rook e8 will be played. Yes, so there is no more. I mean, the spin is gone. Now
queen c2 maybe, huh? Just to protect this pawn.
Queen b3.
Okay, queen b3 is a little bit riskier.
Then what? Then bishop f8, knight f6. Well,
because bishop...
wants it to be a bit simplistic.
Bishop f8, then bishop takes h6 would have been possible. No?
Not sure, because
Me
I mean
too.
you have to calculate some b5s there.
And
Well, okay.
f5s, okay.
Takes, and bishop e3. Now,
Okay.
if black wants to simplify, he's clearly worse. I mean, if he takes
Yes.
on e4, he wants a stable structure. Knight takes, pawn takes. Then
Well,
white
he's
has.
stable on the king side, but on the queen side he's...
Yeah, I mean, white is
falling
just
apart.
better. White is just better. And other than that, white sometimes wants to play b5, then putting something to c5. White has some pressure. Let's put it this way. Knight e7. So Vishy goes for maneuver which saved him against Karyakin, right? Knight e7, knight g6.
Well, that's a very standard maneuver for this kind of
standard way
opening,
to play.
for this opening.
Well, actually, you know what? White theoretically can go for knight g5.
Maybe rook d1, maybe just like this. All the rook is needed over there. I'm not sure. Because I want to play knight c5 at some point. And for that I need to protect the pawn on
Yeah,
c3.
for
Yeah.
rook a d1. I mean, you could play knight c5 immediately, I guess, because queen d3, e5 pawn was hanging, but it's not
Not
clear.
so
if-
sure. I don't know.
Rook a d1 is anyway
no
it's
point
like a
for
useful
to
move.
hurry, right?
It's like a useful move, and sometimes you go knight g3 and then just play d4, opening up the position. Okay, I mean, for Vishy, next move is clear. If you played knight e7, you probably wanted to g6. Yeah, knight g6. Then you can actually go bishop c1. Just he brought the rooks to the center, and or same thing Karyakin was doing, some c4. Can c4 be the idea?
Well, c4 can be done, but that's...
c4, knight goes to c3 all of a sudden, and then again c5.
Well,
b4.
at some point pawn structure is going to be changed somehow, yeah? So you need to decide how you want to change it. Either by playing, for example, knight c5 and taking with the
Yeah, well,
pawn,
you can actually take with the pawn. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good point.
or play c4 or somewhere d4 and
Knight
So
c5.
he did play knight c5.
That's what he does. Knight c5.
and probably
Black
he's
has,
going to take with the pawn.
Black has no choice here. Bishop takes, and then actually both are possible. But yeah, it feels being a bit logical. I mean, more logical. Yeah,
well,
right.
b
You take
takes
with the
c4 just feels a little bit faster, but I'm not so sure.
pawn takes. Yes, and then.
Well, queen c6.
But then I can actually consider d4. It's like
D4.
if you go e4,
rook b1 even back. I mean, also
Yeah.
a possibility. I mean, the rook
to
is
start
not
maybe to
glued
start with
to
rook
d1.
b1. Attacking b7, yeah, not that pleasant position for Vishy. And he also has to decide right now, because it's either queen c6 or c6. If you go c6, this pawn is weak forever, right? If you go queen c6, then after rook b1, you might end up playing an ugly move like rook b8.
Well, maybe c6 is an option, but then, yeah.
Yeah, then you also give those square. Oh, b5.
b5. Okay, well,
b5, but if Kramnik
take,
takes
take.
twice,
rook b8 and then knight
and then
d5.
a5, knight d5. Trying to say that this is acceptable.
Everything is under control.
Well, the pawn of b6 is weak anyway. d4, change in the structure as was promised. And the trick is that after e4 there is knight e5. There is
Yeah.
knight e5,
Nice.
which is quite unpleasant. And then I'll take g6 and I'll just go
yes, you
c4
will
something.
just, yes, destroy.
Has to take, and then what? Bishop takes is Oh, maybe black is not doing that bad after all. Bishop takes.
Bishop takes, because if rook d6, then I can take on f6. Bishop takes f6, ruining the...
As well as on b6. I mean,
On b6,
no.
yeah, but then rook b8, the same story, and knight d5. And then...
Rook e1. Okay, we take with the rook, I guess. Not that clear.
Not that clear,
for,
right?
For
Well,
Vladimir Kramnik.
maybe knight takes e1. Okay, it doesn't look good, I know, but it's very concrete. I mean,
Knight
the pawn is
e1,
hanging, the
b6 is hanging, and then the knight is hanging.
here it's about time, right? We don't want to give any time to white, no, to black.
Yeah,
I'm
the
sorry.
pawn is gone. The pawn is gone. He has to
Not so sure. Queen c6.
try to-
There are still some tricks left.
queen c6.
Because if bishop takes b6, knight f4, it's not threatening anything though. Oh, rook b8 first, or rook d8 then. I don't know, but it feels like, as we discussed earlier today, is and when you give up some material, you get some time, and it feels like.
Queen b6, but then it's
Queen.
queen a4.
But then, yeah, and the rook is hanging
The
on
rook
d1.
is hanging. Rook b1. White is still better though
Still
with
better, the
centralized
bishop, yes, is very nicely placed on d4, looking.
And actually, it's awkward to move the knight because
Draws, they agreed.
what?
Strange. Ah, no, he
Yeah,
lost.
I think Vishy lost on.
Ah, he
could
won-
it be that he lost on time?